What's up YouTube? It's me, Jess, and I'm an opera singer. Today's video is going to be a performance analysis of RAYE performing Oscar-winning Tears. Let's go.
Please give a warm heartbreak welcome to the wonderful RAYE.
Are you fucking joking? Let's go! Oh my god! Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you about one of the many men. Name is irrelevant, height is irrelevant. He was a 1 out of 10. I wish that I knew it then. I'm still recovering on, truly I'm vulnerable. I love a sentiment. Quickly I opened up, I learned my lesson then. Thought it was safe again. Thought he was innocent, I was so wrong. I can't deny I was stuck in a daze, a terrible phase. You was convincing though, very believable, the role that you played. So I'll take this front row seat, and baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears by falling. I scream yes, baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears. Oh, a tragedy. It didn't have to be. Look how you talk to me. Cursing and blasphemy. Cinematography. Get this on camera, please. Oh no, I'm gonna believe this. Yeah, no, I can't deny it. I thought you would've made, but you would've played. What are you lying for? You crying for? You did it again. So I'll take this front row seat, baby. And baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears by calling. I scream yes, baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears. You can miss me with the bullshit, 'cause I can see right through your tears. 9 o'clock entertainment. Oh man, I wish I could tap it. Sit down, no tissues, no string section, no tiny violin. For the last time, I'm your audience. I'll take this front row seat. Baby, baby, you can go ahead and cry the
Wow, that was a huge surprise. I don't know why I thought that this performer was a band and was like a metal band or something. I have no idea. Who is RAYE? One of the questions in the Google search.
Why is Ray so popular?
Ray rose to fame at 19 years old when she featured on Jax Jones's catchy dance track, You Don't Know Me. She then lent her dreamy vocals for similar songs by David Guetta, okay, I've heard of David Guetta, and Major Lazer, and began writing music for the likes of Beyonce, Ellie Goulding, Rita Ora, and more. Get out of here! Okay, let's talk about the music. We're gonna start at the beginning with this massive production. I was so surprised seeing this production because I was like, wait a minute. There's an orchestra, but I'm over here thinking this is a metal band. I don't know why. What makes this hard too, especially for the conductor, is the setup. So in the very beginning, you can see the orchestra, but not very clearly. The atmosphere, they chose to do really dark tones and everything is just dark. That makes it super tricky for not just the conductor, but also the performers, because they just have to rely so much on instinct because it's that much harder to not only see the conductor, but I can imagine too seeing your actual music. It really does evoke this magical feeling. You get so much mystery because you don't see everything clearly with your eyes. And then you see the lights across the different steps on the stage, but other than that, you don't get much. What makes this whimsical to me is the rhythm and the instrumentation. So you have a lot of the brass section holding longer notes, and then in sections where they're holding longer notes, you then have the strings that are doing some pretty quick rhythms, and then they're also doing quick rhythms in the upper register. My God, did that set up such a surprise for when the soloist came out, because I was just not expecting that out. Literally at all. I was just like, what is happening? So then as this introduction progresses and we get closer to the point where Ray comes on stage, you can hear the momentum build. And this happens when more of the instruments on stage have and develop a quicker rhythm. So before, we were getting some variety in rhythm where there was slowness within, let's say, the brass section. You hear nothing from the choir, and then you have the strings doing some quick short rhythms. And now that we've progressed them, you get this tension within the rhythm part of the section, and that is because we're now getting some more variety in a sense of there's more going on rhythmically. You have quicker paces, you have more involvement in terms of instrumentation, and you have this gradual build in terms of dynamics. So now we're at this point where the orchestra has built a ton of tension and we're at a dynamic that is pretty strong. The orchestra then drops significantly and you mainly hear strings. And the strings, I believe, are violinists, violas, and a harp. And then you get the harp that comes in and does this quick scale from bottom to top. That sensation, I think, just makes this whole introduction that much more magical. Next, let's talk about Miss Ray. I have to say I gained some respect for her before she even sang, and that was because of her stage presence. And when she got to the microphone, she took that coat off and just threw it on the floor. The amount of confidence it takes in order to be able to do that is next level. And then what I also loved is the way she talked to the orchestra and the audience. She talked to everyone as if this was just a performance she was giving at her home or something. She didn't make it seem like it was this big deal, this big production, this expensive production.
Are you fucking joking? Let's go! Oh my god!
She really talked to everyone as if she was just inviting them into the performance and making them feel as if they were a true part of how this performance was going to go. That is not an easy thing to do. Put on a performance like this before you even start singing. My God, have you accomplished so much in such a short amount of time. One was flabbergasted when this was not a metal band, and then I was flabbergasted when I saw and heard a full orchestra, and then I was flabbergasted when she started rapping. I was like, what the heck? Nothing I thought that this performance was going to be happened. But let's talk about her rapping, and let's talk about the transition of her rapping into singing. So when she's doing her rap section, you can really hear her accent come to the forefront. I read that she is English, so you hear that heavy English accent come at the forefront. And of course, that's going to be natural because rapping is using your speaking voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you about one of the many men. Name is irrelevant, height is irrelevant. He was a 1 out of 10. I wish that I knew it then. I'm still recovering, oh, truly unvulnerable.
When she starts singing, that accent just disappears. I don't know if you feel that.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you about one of the many men. Name is irrelevant, height is irrelevant. He was a 1 out of 10. I wish that I knew it then. I'm still recovering, oh, truly unvulnerable. I love a sentiment. Quickly I opened up, I learned my lesson then. Thought it was safe again. Thought he was innocent. I was so wrong.
The timbre of her voice, which is so unique. I can imagine people comparing her tone to Amy Winehouse, but hers is unique to her and it's different than Amy Winehouse. Very different, but there are some similarities. Now I want to talk about the moment when she went from rapping to singing in the first verse. She did do it again in the second verse. It's really, really interesting. So I don't know the lyrics, so pardon me looking away, but I'm looking at the lyrics. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna tell you about one of the many men. Name is irrelevant, height is irrelevant. He was a 1 out of a 10. I wish that I knew it then. I'm still recovering. Truly, I'm vulnerable. I love a sentiment. Quickly, I opened up. I learned my lesson then. Thought I was safe again. Thought he was innocent. I was so wrong. So this second line or the second stanza within the first verse is where she transitions from rapping to singing. And it's on the line, quickly I opened up, I learned my lesson then.
Truly unvulnerable, I love a sentiment. Quickly I open up, I learned my lesson then. Thought it was safe again.
Now I think it's important to notice this and also maybe analyze why of all parts within the first verse she chose to sing on this one word and then incorporate singing after this word. Interestingly, she did it on the word opened up. So the line before, you hear the words, truly I'm vulnerable. I love a sentiment. Quickly I opened up. Opened up. When I think of someone opening up, I think of the idea of vulnerability. I think of the idea of being uncomfortable. And I think of the idea of trust. So you can see throughout this entire song that there are some clear trust issues between her and her previous relationship with this man. And the idea of opening up truly is quite a scary thing. And I thought it was just so artistic to incorporate the singing technique on the word opened up and then bring that in throughout the rest of this first verse. I thought that was beautiful. Next, let's talk about her singing. So I want to pinpoint the word winning, which happens in the chorus, and it's a word within the title of the song. So the first time the chorus comes around, She sings the word winning, I believe, twice. Yes. Cry those Oscar-winning tears, and she sings that twice. The very first time she sings the line, cry those Oscar-winning tears, she doesn't sing the word winning, I-N-G. She cuts off the G and sings winnin'. And when you do that, it's natural to go from ing to in. Winning, winnin'. And you can hear that clear I vowel when she goes to sing that first line for Oscar winning tears.
I'll take this front row seat, and baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears by fun that I scream, yeah.
The second time she goes to sing this line, which is the last time in the first chorus, she drops the G again for the word winning, but instead of singing winnin', she says winnin'.
So I'll take this front row seat, and baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears by fun that I scream, yes. Baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears.
A reason why she may have opened up to an open E vowel on that second time she sang the word winnin' is because of the note difference compared to the first time. The first time she sang the word winnin', the second syllable of the word winnin' was on an E4. Now the second time she sings the word winnin', the second syllable, it's on an A4, which is a fourth higher than the first note. A4 is not a difficult nor high note for a trained voice. However, it is quite higher than the first one, and she is bringing a good amount of chest voice into that note. And so opening up on an open E vowel is really advantageous, and you can hear the difference between the two vowels and the result of opening up into a different vowel when singing on a higher note.
So I'll take this front row seat, and baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears by fun that I scream, yes. Baby, baby, you can go ahead, cry those Oscar-winning tears.
So her singing tone is quite interesting. She utilizes nasality and rasp, but there are times where she brings a lot of warmth to the tone. And there was a moment, I believe in the second verse, where you could hear those differentiating tones back to back, and it was really interesting. The words are, no, I can't deny, I thought you were the man. So on the words, I can't deny, I thought, you hear quite a bit of nasality.
Look how you talk to me, cursing and blasphemy, cinematography. Get this on camera, please. Oh no, I'm gonna believe this. Yeah, no, I can't deny.
What she does is she brings nasality to the very first note, right at the onset, and she stays in that same place when singing these words. I can't deny, I thought. So the nasality, the position she chooses for I, she stays there for the rest of the other words. And if you aren't a singer or you're unaware of the cavities within your head, you have this massive cavity behind your nose, and you can really feel that when you're congested. You can feel that if you press on your nose and you start to sing. Some singers have a brighter, more nasality tone. Those two qualities are often paired together, but you can hear that come through to her. And then you can hear her drop that very significantly and bring in so much warmth on the words, you were the man.
Look how you talk to me, cursing and blasphemy, cinematography. Get this on camera, please. Oh no, I'm gonna believe this. Yeah, no, I can't deny. I thought you were the man, but you were the plan.
That difference, I hope that you can hear, I think is what's interesting about her sound. How she's able to bob and weave out of those two different tones, but also make it sound like it's just something natural to her voice. The last thing I'd like to talk about is the really long phrase on the word those at the end of the performance. We'll talk about the notes involved in this long phrase. We'll also talk about the vowel choices that Miss Raye used during this long phrase. And then we'll talk a bit about breath management and how straight tone and vibrato plays a big role in this idea of breath management. The notes for this phrase are A4, B4, D5, C5, down to B4, up to C5, and then she quickly releases on B4. Second is the vowel choices that she uses during this phrase. The vowels that I was able to pick out are which is a schwa, and then she uses and sometimes a bit of and then very briefly she does use an open O sound. So on the very first note, which is A4, she uses a schwa, which is an sound, like in the word the. The second note is a B4. And when she hits this note, at the very beginning, I heard a schwa, that sound, but then I heard her quickly go to an sound. Note, which is a D5, I heard an sound, but then I heard some sneak through that note, which brings out a much more nasally sound. And that goes hand in hand with the tone of her voice and also the highness of that note and the amount of chest voice she's bringing into that note. Then we get to B4, and here it gets a little interesting. For this B4, I heard at the very beginning that open O sound, but she only sits on that vowel for a short amount of time and quickly moves to an sound. Then the next note is a C5, and she maneuvers to this C5, staying on an sound. The very last note, which is hard to hear because she slides into it and falls off of it very quickly, but the last note is a B4. And this one is interesting because I heard an O vowel. And what I liked about the entire sequence of the vowel usage is where she landed. Her landing on that O vowel, I think for me was most satisfying because of the idea of what the word is. The word is those. And yes, it is necessary to incorporate different vowels depending on what parts of the register you are singing that word on. The higher you go, the more advantageous it is to use an and even an sound, which she utilizes in this phrase. However, that B4 is not a high note, and so for her to close and end the phrase on an O vowel, which is the vowel in the word those, which she is singing on, to me in my ears was really satisfying. I think when that happens, it shows this level of artistry where she's actually thinking about the word and thinking about the integrity of the word. What are we as audience members trying to understand is what she is saying, which is the word those which ends on an O vowel. Lastly, let's talk about breath management. And breath management is a hot topic in music education, and that's whether you are a singer or even a person who plays an instrument. The idea of breath management can be broken down into thinking about the preparation for the phrase. So the breath that you take in order to sing the phrase is what really is going to help you navigate through the phrase. And also importantly is the management of that air throughout the phrase. Most times, I believe the breath that we take in is plenty enough to get us through the phrase. Where we have a hard time really getting through singing is figuring out how to properly manage that breath while we are singing. The vocal techniques of straight tone and vibrato play a significant role in the idea of breath management and also the difficulty of breath management. When you are able to play around with either techniques, you can really understand how much one or the other makes breath management a bit more difficult or brings about more ease. In this long phrase, RAYE utilizes both straight and vibrato. What was surprising to me was the amount of vibrato she used in this extremely long phrase. If you do not know, vibrato demands a ton of air, more so than straight tone. So what can be done when singing a long line and figuring out how to manage your breath properly is utilizing more straight tone than vibrato. And then the more you practice, the better you get at it. You can choose to incorporate more vibrato if that is within your style. I believe this is in 6/8, and she sang about 6 or 7 measures for this one long phrase. That is extremely long. When she first starts out the phrase on that A4, she starts in straight tone. And then when she moves up to the B4, you can hear her slide up to that note. And when she does the slide into the B4, the slide is on straight tone. And then when she gets to the B4, you can hear a lot of her vibrato come through. Then as she navigates up to the D5, which is the highest note in this phrase, she then surprisingly sings this entire note, I believe, on vibrato. Then when she moves from the high D5 down to the C5, on the C5 she uses all, if not most, straight tone. This next part is interesting. So from the C5, she maneuvers down to B4. And on this B4, I heard the initial onset of that note as straight tone, and then she moved to vibrato, and then I heard her move into straight tone before moving up to the C5. Then when she sits on the C5, she stays with straight tone, adds a bit of vibrato before moving down. In that B4, she hits very quickly and hits on a straight tone. So this long phrase has 7 notes, but we're only going to look at the first 6 notes, mainly because the last note, that B4, is so short. Looking at the first 6 notes, you can see the combination of straight tone and vibrato. However, she uses vibrato significantly more than she does straight tone. Of the 6 notes, 2 of them used mostly straight tone, and the other 4 used heavy amounts of vibrato, with one of those 4 using both straight tone and vibrato, but mostly vibrato. When you consider that proportion, 4 of the 6 used a ton of vibrato. That just goes to show how much air was needed in order to execute this phrase the way she wanted to, with a lot of vibrato. When you take that into consideration, that shows the difficulty of this phrase, not just lengthwise, but breath management wise. If you liked all that you saw, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and comment down below what piece by your favorite artist you would like me to do a performance analysis on. Lastly, make sure to check out the description box for ways you can keep in touch with me, get access to exclusive perks, and to check out the Soprano Notes blog with tons of music educational topics. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!